The opinions expressed during this podcast are the individual's own and do not represent those of Wyndham City Council.
Hello and welcome to Recently Returned. I'm your host Kirsty and I'm joined today by Declan, one of our education and youth librarians, for another episode of our summer series. Hi Declan, how are you?
Hi, Kirsty. Pretty good. School holidays have just started, so everything's a bit hectic here at the libraries, but looking forward to the summer reads at the moment.
Excellent. Well, we're going to get started with some rapid fire icebreaker questions
Awesome.
just to get to know you a bit.
Yep.
So, our first question is, what is your worst reading habit?
I've got a few, but if I had to pick one, I would probably say my binging. That goes both ways. I either read 3 books in a month, or I don't read it at all for 3 months. So yeah, that's probably the worst habit, I would say.
Can be a bit of an issue if you're trying to keep track of your reading.
Definitely.
And this one's a little nicer, I guess. Which book do you wish you could experience again for the first time?
Oh, I would probably say Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. Sort of a a giant rock comes hurtling into our solar system, and Earth scientists go and try to explore it. And it's very Arthur C. Clarke sci-fi exploratory sort of thing. It's very, very enjoyable. Short read, but a good one.
Is there something in particular that, without spoilers,
Yep.
that would hit you again?
Just like I don't think I can tell any more without giving away any spoilers. The magnitude of it and what they find when they look inside. Well, that's all I'll say.
All right, I'll have
Because
to
any
track
further
it
is
down.
gonna spoil. Yeah.
And our final rapid fire question is, what is the most challenging book you've read this year?
I've had a thought about this one, and I'm really not sure. I can't think of one that was too challenging. I've had a few that I had to sort of push myself through because I was told they were really good books, and you got to read the first 100 pages before you really get to the juicy stuff. But I haven't really read anything too challenging this year. Haven't tried any of the classics this year. Haven't done anything like that. So I don't think I can really name one, unfortunately.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah,
Sometimes we
yeah,
just read for escapism.
yeah, and that's not a bad thing.
No, and which is a lovely segue into a summer reading recommendation,
Yeah, totally.
which may be something light. It may not, but what have you got for us?
Yeah, it's not so light. The book I am recommending for my summer reads is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. It's a sort of high fantasy political drama. There's an original trilogy, and then there's a whole other series in the same world. But the trilogy itself and the world are both known as the First Law. I'm not sure why, just to make it a bit more confusing. But yeah, so the Blade itself is the one book I'm recommending, the first book of the whole thing. Joe Abercrombie manages to sort of create a world that it's easy to understand from the outset. And even though there might be some sort of like cultural barriers, as you get along, you feel like you begin to know the people, the world, its customs, all that sort of stuff. It really is well built fantasy, which is lovely to see. You get to explore from the frozen north to the center of the supposedly civilized capital of the Union. You get to see different, regions, cultures through the ages, as it sort of does a bit of a flashback, look forward sort of stuff. Without giving too much away, there is the wizard Baez. He brings together 4 unlikely individuals, 5 if you include himself, to journey where few dare to tread and even fewer return. Just a classic trope in fantasy, but I love it. I really enjoyed this book and the subsequent series. I've always been a fan of fantasy, but the world, the people in it, it's sort of a gritty, grim, dark reality where bad things happen and plot armor is never as thick as you think it is. The book would probably be suited for people who are a bit more into that sort of thing. For example, one of the main characters is an inquisitor, a sort of interrogator for the Union. There are some pretty dark scenes that involve that sort of stuff. It might be a bit too much for some readers. Actually, there's some pretty dark scenes around a lot of the characters that might be a bit much for some readers. But realistically, I think anyone age 15 plus who likes fantasy and is okay with a bit of the darker side of things would probably enjoy this book.
Okay. Yeah, and his name is fairly recognizable in fantasy
Yes,
circles,
definitely.
and he's released so many now. It's good to have that personal recommendation if someone's
Mhm.
just looking at a shelf thinking, which one do I start with? It sounds like this is a good maybe entry into his work.
Yeah, definitely. I think you find that with a lot of fantasy authors that have, 15 books or whatever it is. You look at the Wheel of Time or something like that, something with a large number of books, and you wonder where do I even start? The good thing is Joe Abercrombie, much like Raymond D. Feist, they've got an original trilogy that you can sort of build off of. So if you don't want to read the whole 27 books or whatever it is, you can read the first book, and if you enjoy that, maybe finish the trilogy. And if you really want to, there's a lot more to dig your teeth into at the end of it.
Excellent. Maybe this will
Yeah,
take people into autumn and winter as well.
definitely. There's enough of Joe Abercrombie that you could probably start now, and then when we come back around to next year, you could get another recommendation to start a new series again.
Yes, not just a summer reading recommendation.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, thank you very much. That all sounds great. And if you at home listening would like to read this book, you can borrow it from the library. Let us know what you think. We always love hearing back from you. So if you've read this book or you've read something else that you have loved and want to share, drop us a line at recentlyreturned@wyndham.vic.gov.au or leave us a message on the library's Facebook page at Libraries in Wyndham. So thank you very much, Declan, for such a great recommendation. And thank you for listening at home. And as always, happy reading.